Yeah.
Oh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 6th running of the Inglemire 10. Conditions this morning are good. We've got a cool, sunny morning with patches of fog clearing quickly. The race, as always, this year is organised by the Sports Club of the Humberside Police, with all proceeds from the race going to their nominated charity, which this year is the NSPCC. Estimated entries this year are over 500, which is a significant increase on last year, an increase of over 25%. And it just goes to highlight the growing popularity of this well-organised 10-mile road race. That's it, Colin. Am I still on?
Yeah.
We're just awaiting the start of the race outside the Police Sports Club down Inglemire Lane. It's quite a tight, packed start with the leading athletes on the front. There are several athletes to watch out for today. On the pre-race day entry sheet, we have number 467. I can't quite see him on the front line, but that's John Redmond from City of Hull. He has been running well, although I understand that he's had some injury problems. Last year, John was in 19th position in a time of 54 minutes and 24 seconds. You can just see there in the red vest, number 625, Pat Howdle of East Hull. There again, returning to something like his normal form after a long period of injury, 2 years with Achilles tendon troubles, having had operations on both Achilles tendons. And Pat recently ran in the Inter-Counties Cross-Country Championships, and speaking to him just before the start of the race, he was reasonably pleased with his performance in the Inter-Counties. And we can already see Pat Howdle there as one of the leading contenders, number 625, along with Martin Farrell, number 858, I think his number is, in the purple vest of the City of Hull Club. 467 is another East Hull runner to watch out for, Ian Greer. Ian always very prominent in local road races. Last year Ian was 20th in a time of 54 minutes and 30 seconds. Just going back generally to one or two of the athletes to watch out for, and we can already see them being reasonably prominent. We've got number 397 is entered, who is P. Embleton from Durham. Last year he was 6th in a time of 51 minutes and 36 seconds. And I believe that the year before, which was 1989, he was 3rd. But I'm sorry I haven't got a time for his 1989 performance. So, we're away, and we head down Inglemire Lane. The course today is quite a fast course. The record was set last year, and it was won last year by Paul Marlin of the City of Hull Club in a time of 50 minutes and 45 seconds. Race conditions this morning, given the right calibre of athlete, suggest that we could well be close to that time, or even achieving a new record today. Leading athletes again, just turning out of Cranbrook Avenue, hard left into Endyke Lane. Pat Howdle, 625 in the lead, and 487 Ian Greer. Number 548 also up with the leaders there is P. Sims from Newmarket Harriers, and he may be one of the unknowns, the dark horses. I can also see Eric Seedhouse in his white cap, just tucked in behind the leading group. Eric, of course, City of Hull's ultra-distance runner, and he was telling me before the race that it would be quite unreasonable of him to, of us, to expect him to win today, because he's He's just winding down in readiness for a 100k championship, world championship in Palmer in a fortnight's time. You can just see there in the yellow vest, though, right in the middle of the group, number 685, and that's Pete Shaw from Sheffield AC. Now, Pete Shaw is definitely one to watch out for today. He's coming back to fitness after a period of a layoff, and speaking to his club mate, Malcolm Martin, he said he's one guy to watch out for, and certainly is in a good position. We've just seen Phil Dewberry, number 517, go through there from the Hull Spring Head Club, one of the contenders for the veteran prize today. So as we see the athletes file past us, Ray Cox there from City of Hull, number 682. Let's just talk again about one or two of the athletes to watch out for in the closing stages. I haven't seen John Redburn from City of Hull. We mentioned him earlier, number 467 down on the entry sheet. I doubt very much that he's here, otherwise we would have seen him in the leading group. Although there's about 8 or 10 people there, and obviously one or two athletes could have been obscured during our early commentary. Pat Howdley, yes. Embleton from Durham, if in fact he's arrived. Ian Grohl we've already seen. 533, sorry, is C. Bayton from Rotherham, who was 11th in 1991 in a time of 52.59. Another entry this year, A. Slack from Wakefield, who was 15th last year in 53.30. Seed House from City of Hull we've mentioned. M. Batley, 694, another guy to watch out for. Wakefield and District, one of the two Wakefield clubs. He was 12th last year in 53 minutes. And I've also seen down on the entry sheet a guy from Bridlington who has run for quite a few years now at a high level. That's Spooner. He was 18th last year in 53.52, and he may well be coming back to the level of fitness that we're used to from Spooner 3, 4, 5 years ago. In the veterans category, well, it could be a fiercely contested race today, with all three leading athletes on paper gaining in fitness. We have Steve James from City of Hull, who was 13th in 1991 with a time of 53 minutes and 3 seconds. He was second vet last year, but I believe that Steve has experienced an unfortunate bout of illness recently, and so he may not be as prominent as we would normally expect him to be. But the three contenders probably for the veterans title are Phil Dewberry from Springhead, 24th last year in 54.49. John Matthews from the City of Hull Club. He was 7th last year in 51.37, and in fact he was the first veteran. And Malcolm Martin from Sheffield, didn't run last year, ran the year before, coming back after a period of illness, and he says that he's improving all the time, training's going well. And we mustn't forget Jim Dingwall from City of Hull, 23rd last year, 54.48, and there again, coming back after a recurring Achilles tendon injury problem. So as we move through the field now, we'll just try and pick out one or two of the athletes, and we've got in the green hoops 1588 is V. Anderson from Wakefield Harriers. An excellent turnout today for this race. We believe that the 500 mark has been broken, certainly in terms of entries, and I think there's a good chance that in terms of starters we will be over the 500 mark. As at yesterday, Saturday the 1st of February, total entries for the men numbered 422, of which 190 of that 422 were veteran athletes. Now these are men over 40 years of age, but that 190 out of 42 represents 45%, which is quite a phenomenal proportion. There were 55 athletes in their 30s, and only 3 runners entered who were in their teens. 2 of those were 17-year-olds, Jay Atkinson from Stainforth, and also P. McCoy from Woodford. and the other teenage athlete was 19 years of age. On the women's side, there were 89 women entries as of yesterday, of whom 53 were veterans. Now, slightly different categories definition for women veterans. Men veterans have to be over 40, but to achieve veteran status as a woman, you only need to be 35, which must be rather a shock for the women. Certainly the men have got 5 years extra before they have to take on that tag of veteran athlete. But 53 out of the 89 women were veterans, 60%, and the youngest entrant was Elle Carter from East Hull at 19 years of age. So, as we move on through the field, number 1645, just giving us a wave there, is S. Downs from Skegness Coasters. And number 420 in the men's is P. White from Nid Valley Roadrunners. And the lead athletes just coming into view now. 14 minutes they've been going for. And we have a new leader, and he's number 672, an East Hull runner. 672. And that is Dave Ottaway from East Hull. John Matthews, 518, one of the contenders for the veterans, and closely being followed by 533, who is S. Cook from Bridlington. Malcolm Martin, 530, another contender for the Veterans Prize, just coming through in his Sheffield vest, and Jim Dingwall following on, 478. And number 507, Steve James, one of the other veteran athletes. Steve James, of course, is over 50 and the world best record holder for 10,000 metres and 10 miles, I believe. Phil Dewberry in this next bunch, green vest, 517 and 747 there. Just working his way through. The field was P. McLennan, and I think he runs for Team Plaxton's. Number 742 from Grimsby is M. Fleming. And number 482 is S. Thirsk from East Hull Harriers. Sean Page, 793. And I think we have the first female athlete, 1611, which should be, according to the form book, that should be Cathy Palmer. Sorry, no, not Cathy Palmer, my apologies. It's her teammate, Kim Bennett. There are just to make mention of the female athletes today, we have the two Grimsby athletes, Kim Bennett, who was the first lady last year in a time of 58 minutes and 41 seconds, and also entered is her teammate, Cathy Palmer. Cathy didn't run last year, but in the recent Ferriby 10-mile road race, she finished just behind Kim Bennett to take second place in that race. And the third member of the Grimsby team, also entered today, is number 1623, Faye Fennick. And there's every possibility that those three Grimsby runners will take the team prize. 486 there was S. Green, and 815 we're just passing is one of the late entries. $587 from the City of Hull Club. Sorry, from Gould Viking Striders, my apologies, is D. Sellers, and 591. Also from Gould Viking Striders is Kay Tattersall. Another late entry, 840. 663. There's R. Harris from Skegness Coasters. So we're moving through the field now fairly quickly. Number 691 is S. Moss from Hartshee Running Club. And 727 as we just go alongside. 727 is K. McNee from Hull Springhead Harriers. And before long we should be picking up the leading athletes. As number 798 just comes past us again. The 798 is another late entry. 682 Ray Cox, City of Hull. And 477 there was G. Vighton from Springhead Harriers. So we mentioned the predominance of veteran athletes in the race today, and it's probably a reflection of the greater awareness that there is nowadays. As just to break off there, we've just come past Kim Bennett from Grimsby and Peter Flatman, number 861, running for the City of Hull Club, closely followed by Dave Brooks. Leading that bunch there, number 458. 458 is Jay Atkinson from Stainforth and District AC. And 468 also in that that group of runners. So yes, there's a high proportion of older runners, and probably a reflection of people's greater awareness of the benefits of running and sport generally. Having said that though, there are far too few athletes in today's race who are in their late teens and in their early 20s, and generally in road races and cross-country races today, in the Hull area certainly, there are too few athletes in their late teens and early 20s. And I think it's probably a reflection of several factors. There are many other sporting attractions for people in that age group to concentrate their minds on nowadays. Certainly in terms of athletics, the heightened awareness of athletics created through greater television coverage and media coverage generally has concentrated on the track side of athletics, as we just passed Jim Dingwall, number 478, running in isolation a little bit at the moment, but looks as if he's going quite well. Certainly there's been an emphasis on track athletics, which one has to say is perceived as being the more glamorous sector of the sport. And also, and some of the school teachers and schoolmasters may well disagree with this, but I feel that there's not as much encouragement now at schools to take part in athletics, and certainly in the cross-country side of athletics, as there used to be perhaps in the 1960s and 1970s. But it's a problem, and whenever there's a problem, it's an opportunity, and I think it's an opportunity which needs addressing fairly quickly. 507, superb veteran athlete from City of Hull, Steve James, and one can see the toning in those muscles. He's going well. He's just slightly detached from the back of the pack in front of him, but working very hard to get back on with them. We should in a moment see Jim Dingwall coming around the corner as we move out into the country. And as he turns now, Jim Dingwall these days runs in tight all the time, keep those legs warm, even on quite mild days. Keep those muscles warm so that they don't tie up, and he hopefully remains reasonably injury-free. Steve James, the shoulder's going a little bit, and Ian Grewer heading up that next pack of athletes. Number 487 Tucked in behind him is number 530, who is Malcolm Martin from Sheffield. And from here, the course takes us from Orchard Park out into the country with a long loop, taking in Northmoor Lane, Dunswell Lane, North Car Lane and Middle Dyke Lane. And from there we're back onto the main road. Pat Howdle is suffering. He was well up with the leaders to start with, but he's just stopped, and but he is now going again. But he's certainly in a degree of discomfort, and hopefully it's not too serious. I hope it's not his Achilles tendons which are playing up. And we pick up a couple of athletes who have become detached from the leading bunch, and one of them is John Matthews from the City of Hull Club, and the other one is number 533, and 533 is C. Bayton from Rotherham, one of the athletes that we mentioned as one to look out for. Now, Bayton was 11th last year in the time of 52 minutes and 59 seconds, and he's running with Matthews, who last year completed the course in 51.37, so he's having a good race, is Bayton. Got the following group, and let's just see if we can dwell there and pick up one or two of the athletes. 797 is a late entry, I feel. 397 397 there is Embleton from Durham City, and he's one that travelled a long way to this race, and he travelled down to be with us last year, and last year Embleton was 6th, and he's well positioned to either achieve the same position this year or possibly improve on his performance. Eric Seedhouse with the white cap there hanging onto the back of the pack, and looks as if he's going quite well. And Pete Shaw from Sheffield, 685, with the long hair flowing out behind him, also looking quite comfortable there. But they are some 100 metres now behind the leading athlete, Dave Ottaway from East Hull Harriers. And there again, Matthews is Matthews and Bayton are about 75 metres, 50, 75 metres behind the main chasing group. Athlete in the race today, and that is number 673, P. Williams from Rochdale. And he's going quite well. He's pumping those arms, and the conditions on the road today are not ideal for wheelchairs, of course, because they feel the effects of slippery conditions perhaps more than the other athletes. But he's well equipped there with his protective helmet, just in case he does have a spill, but hopefully he won't have. And he's just been passed now by Bayton, who looks as if he's just starting perhaps to stretch Matthews, although there's no significant break on at the moment. But I would say that these two athletes that we've just passed are now losing a little bit more contact on the chasing pack, and the chasing pack is starting to stretch out a little bit as Seedhouse moves from the back of that pack, and we're going to pick them up now. Farrell is finding it difficult to hang on, number 856, finding it difficult to hang on to the back of the pack. Yes, and he's dropping off. There's a gap of a significant gap of about a metre, and Farrell looking around, lost interest, and I think he's gone. I think that's the last that we'll see of him. He glances down at his watch, and that's it. That's Farrell gone. But Eric Seedhouse, as they pass the feeding station, and these leading athletes won't be bothered about taking a drink. The conditions are not conducive to dehydration, and they're more interested in getting a good time and keeping their rhythm going and staying relaxed. But the drinks will nonetheless be very welcomed by some of the later athletes. So Seedhouse pushes on. He said before the race that he wasn't expecting to be prominent but he's certainly prominent as far as the chasing group are concerned at the moment. As we make our way down Donswell Lane, which is quite a long, windy, perhaps rather boring sector of the course. And the leading athlete, Dave Ottaway, is looking comfortable. Ottaway now has opened up perhaps 100, going on for maybe 120 metres, and he looks well placed to take this 6th Inglemire 10-mile road race. The only question now is not whether he's going to win it, but by how much and what time he's going to do it in. Picking out this white car following us, the driver is Phil Groves, and the passenger, unfortunately, is Pat Howdle. So Pat Howdle has confirmed he has dropped out of the race. He was obviously in difficulties. He was going well to start with, and we can only make the assumption at this stage that it's an injury problem rather than lack of fitness. And certainly, Pat before the race was commenting that he felt he was in for a good one today, although he wasn't quite sure as to his level of fitness. But training had been going well. He'd been pumping out the miles, and unfortunately, it looks like an injury. Although he didn't look to be limping particularly badly when we passed him, but obviously it's bad enough for him to drop out, and if it's a decision based on, well, let's not make the injury any worse than it need be, then that's a good decision, because there's nothing worse than struggling to get back to top-level athletics and then being smitten with an injury again. As the chasing pack go through, and we're focusing now on Martin Faddle, who has become very badly detached now from the back of the pack. Martin running for the City of Hull Club, of course. Very classy athlete, a lot of potential, but somehow when the going gets really tough, Martin at times finds it very difficult to go with it. Baton and Matthews still slugging it out together, and I think that Matthews is well in contention for the first veterans position today. Well, conditions have proved to be good. The fog, which has bedeviled us for the last few days, has cleared early in the morning, with the sun striking its way through and bringing a little bit of heat into the day. Underfoot conditions not too bad, slightly damp, slightly muddy in parts, but probably very conducive to good road racing. Steve James from City of Hull has managed to get back in contention with the pack of athletes just coming into view now, with Malcolm Martin from Sheffield AC. We also have Steve Rennie there, running on the inside from City of Hull, and number 390 for Wakefield, I think, should be Alan Slack, but yes, it is, it's Alan Slack, and he's another athlete that we mentioned earlier. We would expect today, given Ottaway's breakaway and the quality, that compared with the quality of the chasing group, we could well be seeing a time round about 50 minutes. And that will be good, because the course record was set in 1991 by Paul Marling from City of Hull, not running today, in a time of 50 minutes and 45 seconds. The race is flat, with generally good road surfaces, and it's certainly capable of accommodating fast times. There are perhaps too many turns in the race for a sub 48 minute, but sub 50 minutes ought to be easily achievable with the right calibre of athlete. As the veteran athlete, P. Williams from Rochdale, just turns the corner, and number 491 is R. Slack from Asken and District. 690 is D. Clark from Abbey Runners, and Jim Dingwall, number 478. Number 510 is R. Thor from East Hull, and 742 has been broken by Baton, Matthews number 518. As we head down towards the finish now, we've probably got somewhere in the region of a couple of miles to run, but 533 Baton from Rotherham AC has certainly made a break on Matthews. Farrell 856 is being chased by Baton, and he's well detached, well detached from the next bunch of runners, which in turn looks as if it's been broken up. Now Willett have been broken up by Seed House. 397 there, dropped off the back also is Embleton from Durham City. So Embleton's gone as well. And Seed House, yes, Seed House is still the one responsible for the break, 763. Also tucked in behind him, 797. He's a late entry. I'm sorry, but we don't have a number for 797. And there's about 6 athletes now left in that chasing pack. But in turn, they are perhaps, if anything, slightly closing on Ottaway. The chase is on, of course, and inevitably the pack is going slightly faster than the leading athlete, who's run a good race, but a lonely race. And I guess at the moment that they're somewhere in the order of 100 metres now behind, 75, 100 metres behind Dave Ottaway. Back in Inglemire Lane, heading towards the finish, Dave Ottaway, number 672 from East Hull Harriers, run the race by himself for the last 4 or 5 miles. And he's well clear of the chasing pack. There's no possible chance, I wouldn't have said, unless Dave suddenly blows up, of them catching him. So Ottaway comes in to win. What it looks like comes in to win the 7th Inglemire 10-mile road race. The time 48 minutes 20 seconds as we just make our way now towards the finish. So here we are at the finish, and the lead time car just comes in, and we should see following on quickly behind the winner, Dave Ottaway. And here he comes, and he's just going to dip over. Just going to edge over 51 minutes. Dave Ottaway, 672 from East Hull Harriers. An excellent solo effort. He's run the race virtually by himself in the second half, with little help from the chasing group, who themselves stuck together until a couple of miles to go. And Pete Shaw from Sheffield AC, one of the runners that we tipped, is coming through into second place. Pete Shaw, number 685. And in third place, 665, is Kay Vose from Newton Aycliffe. 797 is the late entry. And 763, Eric Seedhouse, the long distance man from City of Hull. 548, just finishing there, 548 is P. Sims from Newmarsk. And we've got quite a gap now until the next athletes come in. And it should be Martin Farrell. Although, no, it's not Martin Farrell. We have Embleton from Durham, number 397, and that should be Embleton from Durham. And yes, it is. Martin Farrell now from City of Hull, being closely followed. And he's really pulled back on Martin Farrell. Baton from Rotherham, who had that epic battle with John Matthews. Looks a very familiar figure with his... and he crosses the line in 53 minutes and 14 to the finish now. Number 390, Alan Slack from Wakefield. Closely followed now by Steve James from the City of Hull, veteran over 50, number 507. Steve James crossing the line, and he's just going to creep over 54 minutes. Chased hard by Steve Rennie, 733. 54.06 for Steve. And Malcolm Martin from Sheffield AC, 530. Should have taken the third place in the veteran. Harriers coming to the finish, 487. In a time of 54 minutes and 42 seconds, Ian's run a very lonely race, out there by himself for most of the race. And it's worthwhile mentioning, again, that all proceeds from today's race will be going to the NSPCC. And in addition to the runners and athletes who have paid their entry fee of £3.50 or £4, depending on whether they're attached or unattached, special thanks must go to the race sponsors, who include East Yorkshire Travel, and I believe that it's East Yorkshire Travel that have donated the first female and first male prizes of a weekend away. Northern Foods, another sponsor, PJR Motors, Berryman's, Kennings and Roy Hall Cash and Carry, as we watch number 493 just crossing the finishing line, and 493 is Harrison from East Hull Harriers. 510 also from East Hull Harriers is M. Jackson, 55 minutes and 57 seconds. Prizes for the leading athletes today are valued at over £500, with the leading male and female athlete winning that the holiday weekend away for two. Prizes also run to the first male and female veterans, and we think that John Matthews will have won the first male veteran, not quite sure about the female athletes, and also first men's and ladies teams, with 3 athletes from each team to count. Number 532 from Bridlington just finishing there. 532 is S. Cook. And 689 is D. Atkinson from Pickering Running Club, which is a running club that I was involved in its formative years, back in the early 1980s. 57 minutes and 51 seconds now on the clock as number 421 crosses the finishing line, and 421 is C. Making from Team Plaxton's. Followed by Pete Flatman just crossing the line, a sprint in there, 861, Flatman from City of Hull, and Dave Brooks, 628, just beaten on the line. Dingwall from City of Hull has had a difficult second half of the race. Legs tightened up a little bit by the looks of it, and he struggled in. He'll be disappointed with that. Another Wakefield athlete, 646, is R. Young, Wakefield in District, and Gary Cross from City of Hull Club, number 720. 697 was R. Pratt, Bob Pratt from Bridlington Running Club. Shane Page, 793, and Kim Bennett, number 1611, takes the first ladies' prize for the second year in succession. In fact, Kim is the only female athlete up with the leaders that we've seen. We haven't seen Cathy Palmer, although we know she's entered, and hopefully she's not going to be too far behind. As Fowley from City of Hull, and the old headband crosses the line, and we have the second lady athlete has just crossed the line. .741 is A. Webber from Cleethorpes. And 754 from City of Hull, sorry, White City, 754 is So J. Hill from City of Hull, my apologies, 754. And the wheelchair athlete from Rotherham crosses the line in a time of just over 1 hour. So in addition to those prizes which we've already mentioned, for the leading athletes and leading teams, commemorative medals will be presented to all finishers, which must, with the advent these days of presenting medals to all finishers, is a boon for medal strikers. But, you know, somehow this practice has in many athletes' eyes downgraded the significance of receiving a medal. In days gone by, before everyone got a medal, it used to be something of a special occasion. And perhaps in the future, race organisers will, particularly those who themselves have been involved in athletics for many years, will give consideration to whether there'll be something more appropriate to give all finishers, such as a T-shirt, and thereby hopefully restoring the status of the medal to the winning athletes. And we've got 91 finishers through. I've just heard Graham Brummett, official timekeeper. Judge, I say, as we see, and jury. Timekeeper, judge and jury, Graham Brummett does an excellent job, as we always like to say, for Hull and Northern Athletics. And the runners now starting to come through on a more regular basis.
Please stay in order.
Brian, don't stop your watch before I see you. All right. At the end, mate.
Please stay in order till you get to the end. Please stay in your order. Please stay in order. Please stay in order until you get to the end. Hold on, please stay in order. Please stay in order, will you? Please stay in order of crossing. Please stay in your order. Hold on, please stay in order till the end.
All right, Nat, you don't need to hold those up anymore, love.
Please stay in the order.
We've got Kim Bennett. Colin. Okay? Right. So, just further up here. Kim. Tell us where, Colin. All right. I've got Kim Bennett here from Grimsby, winner of the ladies' race. Kim, how did things go today?
It was horrible. I didn't enjoy it one bit. I blew up after 2 miles. I went off too fast, and I just struggled the rest of the race.
How did you find conditions underfoot? It looked a little bit slippery from where we were, particularly out in the country.
Yeah, it was a bit slippery, but it was nice weather for it. I enjoyed it.
It could have been a lot worse with fog in recent days and icy conditions, so I guess that you were quite pleased, really, in the light of conditions.
Yeah, 'cause I thought it was going to be cancelled, because when we was coming on the motorway, it was thick fog. So.
And how about your teammate, Cathy Palmer? She was down as an entrant today. Has she run?
Yeah, she finished third, I think, and she was hoping for a PB today, but I think she just got under.
Now, we missed, unfortunately, the second female athlete finish. There was a group of men finished just in front of her. Now, can you tell us who it was, please, Kim?
I'm not quite sure who it was, but I know she was about half a minute behind me. I don't know who she was, though.
And what's your racing programme from now on? When are you racing next?
I might be doing the Nationals cross-country in another couple of weeks, but I don't know yet.
And which is your preference? Is it road racing or country?
It's track.
You're a track runner at heart? Yeah, okay. Well, look, many congratulations on your performance today. That's the second win in 2 years. Did you win 3 years ago in '89?
I won last year and did a PB on this course. That's my PB time. And I was hoping for a PB today, but the way I felt, there's just no way I'd be able to do it.
Not to worry. Well run, anyway. Thanks very much indeed, Kim.
All right, thanks.
Ah, right. Dave, when you're ready, can you just hold those up? Tell us when, Colin. Dave Ottaway, Eastal Harriers. Many congratulations.
Thanks very much. Nice to meet you.
How do you feel the race went? It looked a lonely job from halfway for you.
My race plan was actually to stick with the group for the first 5 miles and see how it went. But 3 miles, I just felt bouncy, and I didn't actually consciously brake. There just seemed to be a lapse of the pace, and I suddenly had 20 yards, and I thought, well, keep going. And yeah, I loved it out there on my own. I've never done it that way before. I'm usually a sprint finisher, no matter what the distance. So it was nice to get away early, and I've done the business, and I could just run relaxed, and yeah, loved it.
You looked to be very relaxed when you got out there, and as you say, once you did brake, you had 100 metres, 125 metres fairly quickly. There were some decent lads in that second group. At any point when you were in the group, did you feel that there were 1 or 2 people there who were going to give you a race?
Yeah, I always, give everyone in a race a lot of respect. But as I say, I was feeling good myself, and I was going to wait until 5. And when I got that 20 yards, nobody seemed to respond, so I just kept it going, and it went well.
So in that respect, the race went according to plan?
Yes, it did, yeah.
Now, time-wise, you were just over 51 minutes. Record last year set by John Redmond at 50 minutes 45 seconds. We were saying during the course of the race that it's potentially quite a fast course. A lot of twists and turns in it, admittedly. But do you think, given the right day and the right athletes, that it's a sub-50 course?
Definitely, yeah. It's I haven't ran many 10 miles myself, but it's the fastest one I've ran on, I think, yeah. But I suppose the time of year is a factor as well. If it was a summer race, then certainly I think could be one of the fastest courses in the country, yeah.
And what's your racing programme from now then, Dave?
Progress, with the winter training. I'm fairly pleased with the way it's going, and everything will be gearing up for the track season. I'm a track runner mainly, so of course. June is the big month this year. There's the UK's in Sheffield, and then the 3A's Championships and Olympic trials. So everything's gearing up for that.
Well, many congratulations once again on today's performance, Dave, and best of luck for this this season's track season as well. Okay, thanks very much, Dave. Cheers, Dave. Thanks very much. That marvellous medal for you there as well. Yeah. Wind it up now. Can I have the sheets? Thanks. So as we wind down our presentation from today's Inglemire 10, organised by the Police Sports and Social Club, many thanks go out to the organisers, our friends from Humberside Police, who, as usual, have organised an excellent event and have turned out in their numbers. And a particular vote of thanks to Martin Bryce, who, in addition to driving the camera car, was also instrumental in the organisation of the event generally. A good win today by Dave Ottaway in a time just over 51 minutes, which, as you heard, he was pleased with, mainly a track runner. Not a great experienced 10-mile road racer, but he ran an excellent race and according to plan as well. And Kim Bennett from Grimsby, not quite as pleased with her performance, but nonetheless, she won and won convincingly. So many thanks to all involved, many thanks to the athletes and many thanks to the spectators for turning out in quite considerable numbers to support us on today's race. And look forward to seeing you all here again in February 1993.
Well done. Stay in order, please.
Want to sit on it, or?
Can I just unplug the microphone?